The cardboard boxes stacked along my living room wall looked like tombstones, marking the end of my marriage. I sat on the floor, back against the cold radiator, holding the final divorce decree in one hand and my phone in the other. The timestamp read 3:47 p.m., exactly 1 hour after Judge Morrison's gavel ended 22 years of what I thought was love. My phone buzzed. Veronica's name appeared on the screen. Against my better judgment, I opened the message. "Hope you enjoy your pathetic studio apartment. Theo Roland just moved his grand piano into your old music room. The movers said it's worth more than you make in 5 years. Oh, and we're converting your practice studio into his cigar lounge, for someone who actually matters in this world." Another buzz followed, a photo this time. Roland stood in my home office, his Harvard diploma hanging where my grandfather Eugene's war medals once were. His smug expression, intended as a smile, looked more like a predator examining prey. "You'll die poor and alone." The next text read, "Just like your grandfather." I thought of my grandfather in the nursing home, keeping only his secrets for company. What do you have? A violin and delusions of talent? I raised my arm to throw my phone when it rang. Not a text this time, but a call. The caller ID froze me. A string of zeros ending in a single one. After 6 rings, I answered, voice rough with suppressed emotion. "Theodore Eugene Brennan?" "Mr. Brennan, this is Colonel James Whitmore from the Pentagon's Estate Recovery Division. Listen carefully. Your grandfather, Staff Sergeant Eugene Brennan, completed a classified operation in Cambodia in 1964. The operation was codenamed Night Music." I shook my head. My grandfather was a supply sergeant in Vietnam. He played piano at officers' clubs. This was the same story my father had told me 100 times. "Mr. Brennan, your grandfather was actually a cryptography specialist in the 5th Special Forces Group. That mission remained classified for 60 years. As of midnight last night, it's declassified." I stood unsteadily. He recovered something of significant value in the Cambodian jungle. He never claimed compensation due to secrecy. Now, with interest and inflation, it's worth approximately $156 million. The phone slipped from my hands, clattering on the hardwood floor. The colonel's voice, distant but insistent, continued. "Your grandfather made a choice, Mr. Brennan. He remained silent to protect family and country, but set conditions. The money can only go to a direct descendant under specific circumstances." "What conditions?" "You must come to Washington immediately. A Delta flight leaves O'Hare in 3 hours. First class, window seat 14I. Your grandfather specifically requested it. His instructions: contact you on the day you lost everything. He said, when my grandson has nothing left to lose, give him everything I couldn't claim." I couldn't believe it. Eugene had been dead 35 years. He predicted patterns well, Mr. Brennan. It's what made him invaluable to military intelligence. You now have 72 hours to complete what he started, or the inheritance transfers to the Department of Defense. I looked out at Lake Michigan, gray and choppy, like my grandfather's eyes when lost in memory. I thought of Veronica's text, Roland's face in my house, and asked, "Colonel Whitmore, what did my grandfather recover in that jungle?" "Mr. Brennan, I'll see you at the Pentagon tomorrow. 0800 hours. Bring your grandfather's journal, the one with his musical compositions. You still have it, don't you?" I pulled the box I'd refused to let Veronica touch. "Yes, I have it." "Good. One more thing. Your ex-wife's new companion, Roland Ashford. His grandfather was William Ashford, a defense contractor in 1964. Nothing about your current situation is a coincidence. Your grandfather foresaw this decades ago." The line went dead. I was alone, in an apartment emptied of marriage, holding a phone that connected me to a past I never knew existed. Outside, Chicago's skyline stretched toward a darkening sky. I opened my grandfather's leather journal, pages yellowed, filled with handwritten compositions I'd played since childhood. In the margin of the first page, written faintly in pencil, were 5 words, "For Theodore, when everything ends." 3 months before a phone call would change my life. I stood on the stage at Symphony Center, playing the final notes of Brahms's concerto in D major. The audience erupted, 2,000 people on their feet. In the third row, Veronica sat, hands perfectly still. She wasn't clapping. That should have been my first warning. Life at 47 had settled into a predictable rhythm. Mornings began at 6 in our Lake Forest home, scales in my soundproof studio, while Veronica did yoga on the terrace overlooking the pool. The house spanned 2 acres, each room reflecting her design and my ability to support it. 15 years earlier, when the Chicago Symphony promoted me to first chair violin, we'd bought the house. Back then, Veronica still attended my performances and meant it when she said she loved the way my fingers moved across the strings. "Your grandfather would be so proud," my mother had said at our housewarming. Eugene always believed music could take you to places he never could. Though Grandpa Eugene had been dead 12 years, his presence lingered like a melody you couldn't quite place. My father kept a photo of him on the mantle, sharp-eyed in military dress, next to his Bronze Star, though none of us knew how he'd earned it. He returned from Vietnam different, spent 6 months in Cambodia before his official deployment, never spoke of it, just played piano to drown out something only he could hear. I inherited Eugene's musical gift, but chose classical discipline over jazz improvisation. Structure, precision, every note written, safe. Veronica had loved that when we met 23 years ago at a charity gala. "You're not like the others," she whispered. "You create something eternal." She was ambitious, working in a small interior design firm, wearing borrowed pearls and a rented dress. I was 32, she 29. Her gaze made me feel like Brahms himself. The marriage was strong for the first decade. She redesigned our apartments as my career grew. When we bought the Lake Forest house, she quit her job to focus on our life. I practiced 6 hours a day, performed 3 nights a week, and taught weekends at Northwestern. We talked about children, but never acted. Always one tour, one renovation, one more thing. The change came slowly, like a violin going out of tune. Veronica joined the country club, lunching with wives of wealthy men. She came home talking about vacation homes in Aspen, yachts on Lake Geneva, private jets to Art Basel. "Did you know Roland Ashford just bought a Basque yacht?" she said one evening, eyes glued to her phone. Roland Ashford, the man who would destroy everything. He'd hired Veronica to redesign his Lincoln Park penthouse without consulting me. "It's just one project," she said. But his money came with attention, compliments, and subtle comparisons that made me feel smaller every day. Roland, 6'2" to my 5'9", Harvard MBA to my Juilliard degree, had made $40 million last year, while I barely cleared $300,000. At a dinner party, he rested a hand too long on Veronica's shoulder. "Your husband's accomplished," he said, "but living with an artist must be fascinating." His tone reduced my life to a quaint hobby. Veronica laughed, bright, genuine, a sound that tightened my chest. That was 6 months ago. The spring Vienna tour, meant to be a triumph, became the final movement of my marriage. While I played Mozart in the Musikverein, Veronica was playing house in Roland's penthouse. My nephew James caught them in an embrace that shattered every illusion I had about loyalty and love. The FaceTime call came at 2 a.m. Vienna time. James's face was pale, anxious, younger than his 23 years. "Uncle Theo, I need to tell you something. I saw Aunt Veronica at Mr. Ashford's office tonight. She wasn't looking at fabric samples, they were kissing. Her dress wasn't completely on anymore. I'm sorry. I took photos because I didn't think you'd believe me." The photos arrived seconds later. Veronica pressed against the glass railing, Roland's hands tangled in her hair, the Chicago skyline glittering behind them. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m., just before she told me she was going to bed with a headache. I played that night's performance mechanically. Technically flawless, emotionally absent, the Austrian critics noted it. 3 days after returning to Chicago, I confronted Veronica. She stood in the kitchen humming Vivaldi, wearing diamond earrings I didn't recognize. "Nice earrings," I said calmly. "Thank you. A bonus from the Ashford project. Must be some project, working past midnight, earning jewelry." Her face passed through surprise, calculation, defiance, then cold resolve. You know James saw you, right? Or did you forget about family while undressing for your client? I wasn't going to insult her by denying it. How generous of you. Apologize? Fine. I'm sorry you found out this way. But I'm not sorry it happened. Do you know what it's like being married to someone who loves dead composers more than living people? She said. You practice 6 hours a day. Roland builds empires. I am a musician. That's what you loved about me. But you don't live, Theo. You perform. Even our marriage became a recital. So you threw away 22 years for lunch in Monaco. No. I threw it away for someone who makes me feel alive. The difference between you and Roland? She said. When he walks into a room, people notice. When you walk in, they might admire your talent, but nobody fears you. Nobody needs you. Nobody's life changes because Theodore Brennan exists. Except mine. Her words cut deep. That, the divorce lawyer, her father's golf partner, insured Illinois law favored Veronica. Papers were filed before I fully processed what was happening. She claimed the house, half the retirement accounts, alimony, and maintenance of her lifestyle. You'll keep your violin, her lawyer said, generously, and one vehicle. My mother cried. That woman never deserved you. My father was more pragmatic. Eugene lost everything too. Came back from the war to find his first wife, had sold the family farm and vanished with another man. He rebuilt from nothing and died with nothing. I reminded him. He died with dignity. Sometimes that's all a man can keep. The Pentagon building rose from Virginia like a geometric giant. I carried my grandfather's journal carefully, not trusting checked luggage. The Uber driver, a veteran, whistled. You military? My grandfather was Staff Sergeant Eugene Brennan. Must have been something special to get you a Pentagon summons. I spent the flight studying Eugene's journal, discovering hidden patterns. His compositions weren't random. Each piece corresponded to military operations in Southeast Asia. Marginal notations looked like musical markings, but contained coded secrets. Colonel James Whitmore met me at security crisp, precise, posture commanding. Mr. Brennan, thank you for coming. Before we proceed, I need to verify your identity. Tell me about your grandfather's piano. 1947 Baldwin Spinet, mahogany finish, bought in Raleigh from a pawn shop. Cigarette burn on Middle C. Sunday night performances at the Veterans Home? Church for the unchurched? Music is the only religion that never lies. We descended 3 levels underground, passing stricter security at each checkpoint. Finally, we reached a vault-like room with fluorescent lights and a metal table holding file boxes. Your grandfather's real service record. This has been classified beyond top secret. Certain details remain redacted. Photographs showed Eugene, sharp-eyed in jungle fatigues, with blacked-out faces around him. Behind them, wreckage of a small aircraft. Operation Night Music, February 1964. A Soviet reconnaissance plane had crashed in Cambodia. Officially, there were no Soviets in Cambodia. Officially, we weren't there either. The plane carried an early computer system for nuclear launch encoding, but the real prize was the pilot, Victor Clove. Dying but conscious, he shared information about Swiss bank accounts funding double agents. Eugene memorized it all before turning over a metal briefcase to command. He could have claimed $22 million in 1964, but chose silence to protect lives. The Pentagon owed him compensation for the mission. With interest and delayed payment multipliers, it now totaled $156 million. But Eugene set conditions. Whitmore handed me a sealed envelope in Eugene's handwriting. It could only be opened by me, after losing everything material to gain what was essential. Inside, Eugene wrote, Theodore, your marriage has ended, and you've lost your worldly possessions. Patterns repeat through generations. The music I left contains more than notes. Each composition maps coordinates. In Baltimore Storage Unit 447, paid through 2087, you'll find what I couldn't destroy or claim. Pentagon money is yours regardless, but claiming Baltimore means choosing truth over comfort. Swiss accounts still exist, dirty in origin, with names that matter personally. You have 72 hours. The storage facility looked abandoned, brick facade covered in grime and graffiti. The keypad worked when I entered the code from Eugene's Autumn Fugue. Unit 447 at the end of a long hallway, smelling of rust and old paper. Inside, a single green filing cabinet stood, topped with a chess set mid-game. The position was the Budapest Gambit, which Eugene had taught me at 8, sacrificed to gain position. In the cabinet's top drawer was a safety deposit box key for Baltimore First National, and a leather portfolio containing Swiss bank statements from 1964. Ashford Industries appeared 17 times. William Ashford, Roland's grandfather, sold defective helicopter parts to the Army while funding Soviet operations. American soldiers had died. The total blood money, $22 million. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Brennan, this is Roland Ashford. How do you know about Washington? The same way I knew your wife was vulnerable. Your grandfather was a war profiteer. My grandfather treated war as a market. You document the truth. The choice: Pentagon money and disappear, or continue and face consequences. Silence or truth. Eugene chose silence. I chose truth. I called my cousin Dennis, an investigative journalist. Together with forensic accountants, we verified Swiss accounts, totaling $87 million. The funds didn't go to me. They went to a trust for families of soldiers who died due to Ashford's defective equipment. The Pentagon compensation, $156 million, was mine. Dennis published the story. Ashford Industries stock dropped 40%. Roland faced federal investigation. Veronica called repeatedly. I answered on the 18th call. Theo, Roland's arrested. I want to come home. The house isn't yours anymore. I bought it at auction. My uncle and aunt now live there. Seems a better use than Roland's cigar lounge. 6 months later, I debuted Redemption Suite, Eugene's composition, at Symphony Center. The audience was unaware they were hearing encoded Swiss bank passwords transformed into melody. The trust fund had already paid $12 million to Gold Star families. Dennis won a Pulitzer. Ashford Industries declared bankruptcy. Roland got 7 years in federal prison. Veronica married her divorce lawyer. Did I regret it? Exposing Roland or losing Veronica? Both? Neither? Eugene didn't have a choice. The world wasn't ready for truth. He planted the seeds. I was the gardener. The real inheritance wasn't money. It was understanding his silence was strategy. I live modestly now, practice 6 hours a day, teach free music lessons to veterans' kids, and run the Eugene Brennan Foundation for veterans' families. Sometimes I play in nursing homes, ending with Moonlight Serenade, its Morse code rhythm recognized only by old veterans. Night music. My grandfather knew. I told him. He made sure someone would remember. The true inheritance isn't money. It's the stories we carry, the choices we make, and the courage to play difficult passages even when our hands shake. Eugene left me millions. Yes, but also proof that patient justice, though decades in the making, does arrive, encoded in time, awaiting someone to play the right notes at the right moment.